Okay, I think I'm about ready. Hi guys, it's been a few. Didn't end up streaming on Tuesday because I was helping my buddy Softservo move, and then didn't stream yesterday because I realized that I wasn't going to get to see my wife a whole lot over the next few days because I was going to help Softservo move again today. That didn't end up happening, so here I am. You can kind of see the collection right now. I do need to prime this gentleman, but this is what I've got so far, and these are going to be my 3 tiers of painting detail eventually. I have, Parade, Tabletop Plus, Tabletop, same thing over here, Parade, Tabletop Plus, Tabletop, and I'm just kind of working along. I got the, where'd he go? I got the Parade ready, and you guys have probably seen him a little bit. He looks pretty good. I'll eventually get him on an appropriate base with some appropriate terrain, but today is not that day. This is Tabletop Plus. Obviously a completely different energy, a little bit darker. I might dry brush him again just to get him up a little brighter, but clearly not the same level of detail. And this guy I need to prime before I go ahead and paint him, but this is what a 3D printed naked version of a Scavenger Ranger looks like from Station Forge. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, before I introduce you to the next piece, I want to give them some promotion. So I need to figure out who the heck they are. I completely forgot. Crypta Studios. Crypta Studios. I wish they would have a dang logo. But Crypta Studios makes these amazing minis, and they do them in various sizes. They have them at 32, 75, and bust, which is really neat. But this miniature, his name is Karadin Genli, and he's supposed to be a wizard hero. And you can pretty much see I've gotten a decent amount of him done over the past couple of days because I've had a lot of free time at work. But I'm going to go ahead and finish up this tabletop ready version of him. And then I'm going to go back, or not Tabletop, Parade ready. Then I'm going to go back to Tabletop Plus, and then I'll go back to Tabletop. And we'll see how that turns out. So I'm going to go ahead and take all of these guys off of their, off of the base, the painting place, so that they don't continue to interfere with the camera. And we're going to get back to painting Karadin. I really like this mini a lot, simply because he's a traditional wizard. One of the things that I both love and dislike about the hobby is how versatile and vast it's getting. And I know that sounds weird. I don't like how versatile the hobby's getting. But that's not actually a problem. It's more that it's hard to find the traditional wizard or the traditional fighter, you know what I mean? So being able to find someone who makes that kind of model, who makes a model that really fits into what could be called the traditional look, is really neat. And so I'm happy to see him and paint him. And I'm actually going to go back to using a Winsor & Newton brush today. I'm curious to see if I'm actually having the problems I'm having because it's not as good a brush anymore and I need to get a cleaner one, or if this brush is actually as good as it seems to have been doing for me, performing for me, because that liner brush has been a dynamo and it's been absolutely fantastic. Whoa! I don't know why it keeps alerting me about that, but Nord needs to stop. They've been trying to sell some of their other supplemental programs to me, and it's really annoying because it's when I'm in the middle of doing other things. So let's go ahead and get the palette ready again. I'm going to add some green back in there, need to put some browns, some off-whites, and eventually work my way up to the brightest parts that I can. Now, one moment, is this... Okay, so this is fine. The camera angle behind him is bad. There we go, that's a little better. So let's see, I'm going to go back to a dark brown. And all I'm really using to bring my colors back up are my 2 favorite off-whites, Pale Sand and Buff, right? Or Amarillo Kaki and Arena Clara, I guess. I'm not much of a speaker of the language of Spanish. I'm barely a speaker of the language of English, which makes it even worse that I'm an English teacher, right? Now, something else I'm going to do, because it's just a generally good, helpful color, is I'm going to add some golden yellow. it brings that warm tone to it without going way too bright, and allows for some really nice blends. And something I noticed is I did a lot of the coloring for the robe, the shading for the robe, under very dim natural light. So I'm going to need to change that. I also think I need to do some flesh tones. So we're going to start the dark purple, slowly work our way up to a ruddier flesh tone. Hopefully the Cadian flesh tone will work okay. I've had this maybe... Nah, I'm gonna go with brown rose. Brown rose is fun. I bought this to replace Cadian flesh tone. It's a little too pink for my liking, but I have a feeling that if I mix it in with the right off-whites, the right warm whites, it'll do okay for his face. Something else that was suggested to me was that orb there is to do some really cool object source lighting by painting it eventually a good purple, and then getting that cool purple energy coming off of it. So that is something else I plan to do when I get there. I think I'm going to want his boots to be a darker color. Hello there. His boots to be a darker color than the wrappings around it. So I'm going to need some black. I'm going to need to go ahead with that with the boots. So we're going to get to work on that. Let's see if I have ruined this Winsor & Newton brush beyond repair with my rough treatment of it, or if it can still be used for some detail work. Speaking of detail work, I'm going to go ahead and take some of that yellow, put it into this green to lighten the green up just a little bit. Then I'm going to go ahead and start editing it. Yeah, I think I might have gone a little too bright with some of the highlights, but in the darker space I was in, I just wasn't able to see that. And unfortunately, no, the tip to this thing is dead. Absolutely dead. I cannot use the tip of this because there really isn't a tip to use. The fact that I haven't already encountered a severe problem with this thing is amazing. But I'm not getting a sharp point at all. And I'm really having to finagle with this thing. Now the good news is the color I chose is on point because it is drying very nicely against the darker tones already laid down. So I guess I'll use this fat brush as a fat brush. It's weird calling this Zero a fat brush, but for what I'm using it for, it basically is. I'm going to go ahead and use this fat brush to bring down some of the tones on everything else, kind of like a glaze. And then I'll go back and hit everything with a slightly better transition color. Because I went way too bright, and I feel like that kind of threw off the gradual shading that I was doing. So let's go ahead and do that. And hopefully this will bring out some nice contrasting tones. Yeah, it's not holding a point at all. I don't know if you can see it, but it's really struggling to hold any kind of point. That's unfortunate. I think that means this thing's essentially kaput for me. And I can't even tell if you guys can see it clearly, but I will just let you know right now that for the kind of precision work I need to do, it's not going to do it. It's way too much already. Okay. Get some bottom parts of this cloak while I'm here. Deal with that. This one's no good. That's unfortunate. I'm gonna go back to the liner brush, which is very slowly losing its tip, but it's still there and it's still usable. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that again. I'm actually really proud of how some of the shading turned out on his on the bottom part of his robe. But once again, because I lacked the proper light to see it, it's come in a little too bright. And some of the details came in a little too thick, so I'm gonna have to knock those back a little bit. I don't think I can, in good conscience, say that this is what I'm gonna charge you $30 a mini for. Okay. There we go. There we go. That looks a little better. Now let's see. Go ahead and add some more of that yellow, bring in some more of that highlight. Maybe add a little bit of water too. we're really going to push it now. Let's see if I can get a good highlight off of that. That's a whole lot better looking. That's a whole lot cleaner. And it really is kind of unfortunate because this guy has so much beautiful detail to him that I really don't want to slop over it with too wide a brush, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of what I'm doing, you know what I mean? Normally, it wouldn't be that big a deal, but if I'm trying to paint this model to be something someone can display, I'm going to do everything in my power to make it look good. I can't do that if I'm just slopping over everything. So we're going to go ahead, hit everything with this nice, gradual build up to a brighter color. I will say though, he is turning out really darn good, and I'm kind of very pleased with that. I haven't painted a non-Warhammer mini in a while. It's been a few months. So, first of all, it's interesting because there's a lot more cloth on this guy than I'm used to. You know what I mean? I usually get capes, but for the most part, there's been a lot of armor, and so I've gotten really used to painting long, flat surfaces. And so, getting to work on this guy with his cloth traveling cloak and his cloth robe, it's just led to a much more interesting feeling paint job. Unfortunately, I was a doofus and didn't pull out my my light, so he's got all of these weird highlights that just kind of are overwhelming to look at because they're just far too strong. So hopefully I can do my job and build those back, knock those back a little bit, make everything look a little more natural. Because my goal wasn't to create big, blocky, cartoony highlights on him. It was actually just to slowly build up a gradient of brightness from the edge of his robes back a bit, right? And I kind of did the same thing on his freaking pants too. Man, I really hecked this guy up. And I thought he looked so good, but that's what happens when you're not using proper lighting. You can't really see the mistakes you're making until it's a bit too late. So he's going to get an entire paint over. I'm going to do his pants all over again, and we're going to see what I can do to fix this. Yeah, that was a lesson learned. Don't paint your minis without good lighting, guys. It will actively make them worse. And actually, that little bit of glazing did a good job of knocking it back down. Something else that looks like it ended up happening was that his yellow trim got a little funky. So I'm going to see if I can hit that yellow trim a little more. There we go. Oh no. I'll be right back. Phone call. Be right back. Well, that was really dumb. That's okay, though. let's see. Is this going to be okay with the lighting? Does that look fine? I might need to move it over just a little bit more. Nope. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to painting this guy. It was just a reminder of work that we're dismissing early tomorrow, and then we don't have to report on Monday because it is a holiday. We're celebrating a man that the government kept tabs on because he wanted people to be treated fairly. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I need to do some work on that trim. Once again, looked really good in the dim light. Not so much when you actually have it under good light, right? As always, I just got an alert telling me the same thing they just called me about. It's fine. But yeah, as always, this level of detail is entirely for artistic pursuits, right? You're not going to be seeing these guys at a close enough distance to really care about the detail put into the mini unless you specifically want your minis to be of sublime detail. So what I'm doing is extremely niche, but that's okay because I enjoy it, and hopefully I give you a very chill stream to just kind of listen to while you're doing something of your own. With that being said, I lost access to water this morning. Apparently someone hit a power or a water line and broke the water main, and that meant that my house didn't have running water for most of the early morning. And thankfully, it seemed as though they fixed it really quickly. I have nothing but good things to say about the road crew that has been working on our side of the street for the past few days, like month, because they obviously have to deal with a lot. There are people coming to work, going to work, coming home from work. There's a lot of little things that are happening that would require them to stop working and just kind of adjust for us. And they have been unfailingly polite, and they have been wonderful and accommodating, and they've tried to explain what they're doing when they're doing it. It's been generally good vibes and very professional, so I've got nothing but kind things to say to those people. But someone hit a water main, and so we lost access to water for it. That's way too bright. Let's knock that down a little bit. We lost access to potable water, and that also meant that, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That also meant that I didn't get a chance to shower this morning. Brushing my teeth was kind of a mess. I couldn't wash any dishes. There was a lot that I couldn't do because of the water being an issue. But that's okay. I felt most bad for my wife because she lives here. That sounds weird to say, but it was just that she very clearly couldn't get a lot of her morning ritual done. And since she actually lives here, that meant she had to stay with that for most of the day. She ended up buying some water from the grocery store, bottled water, and emptied out the ice tray because the water that we were starting to get was very gross and filled with, sediment from the breakage. But I think everything's returned to okay now. No clue. I just got home. I don't know what's going on anymore. But the point is that was an interesting thing to wake up to. I thought I was going to take a shower, and then I just hear water hissing. I woke up at 4 a.m. because of vehicles moving in to try and fix it while everyone was sleeping. It was definitely an experience. Though I won't say necessarily a bad one. I think the fact that the city responded so quickly was impressive. I was glad to see our tax dollars at work. Because, that's why we pay into these programs. That's why we pay into the city. And I was just in general pleased to see that things ended up okay. Speaking of ending up okay, the more gradual tonal shift from the brown really sells this a whole lot better than it did a few minutes ago. It does not need to be as bright as I was making. Okay, a little bit of yellow back into the green because I feel like up top, once again, my bad eyes thought that looked good, and they were wrong. So let's go ahead and fix that. Fix that. Go ahead and ever so gradually build back the brightness on this one. just a little bit at a time. So by the time it gets down here, it is incredibly bright. Yeah, it looks pretty good. My blends may not be buttery smooth, but they're a whole lot better than they used to be. This side looking a little rough, so I'm going to go back, dip in some water, and then I'm going to go back. Too much water! Okay, now I'm going to have go back and glaze over this all a little bit, and then I'm going to cut it back over with a brighter green. I'll do that later. Okay. So far, to be honest, the parts that are kind of funkiest to me are the cloak bits, because they don't feel like they're really carrying as well as the rest of it. But I think that's just because they're so dark, they get kind of lost in everything else. That's okay. The traveling cloak looks to be a different color from his from his undercoat, so I think that's going to serve us fine. I'm scared to do his face. He's got a face, and it's very, very detailed, especially for a mini this size. But I'm not going to worry about that just yet. I'm going to try and figure out these wrappings he's got around his feet, because my goodness, does he have some wrappings around his feet? I think I'm just going to hit him until I can kind of make heads or tails of them, because I feel like I want to make them the same color as like bandages, which is the off-white I've been using, but I don't really know. They should be dirtier than that, since they're constantly in contact with like the ground and they're picking up the dust around them, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna futz around with this a little bit to see what I come up with. I think that's what's gonna be the plan. Okay, is it still having a problem disconnecting me from the server? It doesn't look like it now, so I'm gonna write in a testing to make sure. I had my VPN on, and now I don't have my VPN on, so please don't take that as a signal to start attacking and hacking. It's just it kept disconnecting me from Twitch and from the channel, so I wanted to get rid of that issue. Okay, no, it's not jumping anymore. I thought maybe it was. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, get everything in here with a lighter color to hopefully bring some contrast. And then I'm going to hit the boots with a darker brown, like a considerably darker brown. And we'll see what we can do from there. And these bandages, I think I'm going to try and bring up even further in terms of the contrast. Because I think I could go all the way up to the gauze color if I really wanted to. Dirty gauze color. I suppose we will see. Let's see. Yeah, that's the brightness I want there. That's the brightness I want there. That's looking pretty good. Hey, Snowtwig. Going pretty well. I'm actually not doing a Warhams today. I'm done with at least levels 2 and 3 of this Skitarii guy I was working on. And I need to prime level 1, but I haven't done that yet because I haven't had the time. So I moved over to working on a wizard. Right. And first of all, it's a really cool model. I've already forgotten the name of the people who made it, but I'll go ahead and say it one more time. Crypta Studios on My Mini Factory. They had a sale over the winter break or over the holiday season, and I decided to snag some of their models because they were neat fantasy models. Wizard! And I really like them. They have them on 3 different sizes and 3 different scales. They have them at 32, which everyone's familiar with. They have them at 75, which is like display scale. And then they've got them as busts, so you can purchase that one separately. And I forgot that I had painted one of their busts previously. One moment, I don't know where he is. Do I know where he is? He's somewhere in here. I'll be right back. Where are you? Did I throw him away because I wasn't happy? Nope, he's just hidden far away from me in on my display shelf. There he is. This guy right here. this is another one of theirs, and really cool looking model. I think I could have done better with him because I kind of gave up since I didn't know what to do with him. I got overwhelmed, but he is a super neat model. And now that I know what I'm doing, I might go back and fix him more. They have like a full-bodied version of him at both D&D scale and display scale, and they're not very expensive. I think they're like $4 or $5 a model. So if you're interested in getting this stuff, you really should. But this wizard's cool. I like him a lot. My buddy is playing an amnesiac wizard named Dirt in a campaign, and he's essentially an incredibly all-powerful wizard who has been through so many different realities, he's forgotten most of his spells and skills. He just has an incredibly grubby book that has, you know, just infinite amounts of information, and some of it is obviously incredibly useful, some of it is absolutely useless, but he just doesn't remember anymore. The only thing he has as a memento that follows him constantly throughout his journey are the books and a very ill-kept cat that I don't remember the name of it, but all it really does is cough, like those horrible hacking kind of things that cats will do, and just be ill-tempered. And so he's a great vehicle for comedy, and he's extremely intrigued in everything that goes on in the world, but it's caused him to be very eccentric. And when I first saw this wizard, that was all I could think of was mud. So I was really happy to paint him, and I'm eventually going to end up giving this to Soft Servo because he loves wizards. He loves traditional D&D. He loves traditional wizards. So I figured if I paint one of these up real nice, which I'm clearly doing for my commission painting business, that he would love to have one. This guy's turning out real nice. He's going to be really fun because he's going to get a really cool like glow coming from the staff. He's going to get object source lighting. I'm going to try and do his face to the best of my ability and not screw it up. I really hecked up Fulgrim's face. I feel so bad about it. Though I feel like it's not truly hecked up, it's just struggling right now because it's in that weird phase where I'm not done with it. So it just looks bad. But once I go back and fix it, it's going to look fantastic. Yeah, you've seen the Fulgrim I was working on. I've eventually got to go back and do his skin and his boots. I think for the boots, they're just going to end up being a darker brown, like a really dark one that I can highlight up a little bit to a normal brown. So we're going to add some black in there. I also got some new resin for my printer, and it's a reliable resin that I'm really happy with because I've bought it before. It's called Soraya Tech Fast, but it's a little bit more expensive than I'd like to spend. It's about $40 US, and it's gone up in price because I guess more people have found out about it or supply chains or something. But most resins I purchase are closer to 30, and so I've kind of stayed away from buying it for a little while. And the most recent purchase was a holiday one. Anycubic had a sale on their resin, so I bought a bunch of that. And it just told me that I need to stop buying Anycubic because their resin's not very good. It's a lot more finicky. It doesn't cure. It took a lot of attempts to get it to cure properly on the with the exposure test. I had a lot of issues, suffice to say, and most of that's probably user error. But I don't feel like I should have been able to comfortably go from Soraya Tech, which I was having zero problems with, to Anycubic and suddenly have all the problems, you know? So, I got some more Soraya Tech for Christmas as a gift from some of my in-laws, and I did like one setting test, one exposure test, and everything worked out perfect. I didn't have to adjust it or anything. And the resin just comes out a lot more cleanly. There's less of it stuck to the model itself to rinse off. I can't stop singing the praises of Soraya Tech. They've been universally really fantastic. Okay, I want to go very dark with these boots. I want these boots to contrast sharply with the dirty bandages. So that's what I'm going to do. So how have you been? I feel bad. I always forget to ask those questions because I feel like I need to fill the content. It's like, I need to talk about myself and make sure there's no dead time. And it would probably behoove me to start asking, like, you know, how are you doing? What's been going on in your life? And that way we have a vehicle for more conversation. But yeah, I need to get this guy's boobs a lot darker. It's hard to build up from dark if they're not dark, right? Okay. Let's see. And it looks like I forgot to get some bandages, so I'm gonna have to get those too. Detail in this is really good, and I can't wait to see what it's going to look like when I finally get a better printer. My Mono SE is a fantastic printer. It's got fairly high definition. It's a 2K printer. It's got a mono screen, so it works really well. But I'm starting to see some of its shortcomings with some of the more ambitious prints I've been doing. And so it's kind of inspired me to consider getting a new printer. So hopefully that will happen sooner rather than later, and I can start doing some truly amazing sculpts. Some of the armor on the Fulgrim model ended up really being disappointing simply because my printer couldn't hack it, and a lot of the bits ended up being very muddy, being very kind of hard to look at and determine. They just ended up looking like blobs. So hopefully, if and when I do get a new printer, I can reprint something like that, and it'll turn out beautifully. But for right now, just kind of dealing with what I've got, which is by no means bad. I did not buy a low-end printer. It's just that technology's kind of outraced it, you know what I mean? My gosh, this model has so much detail. Let's go ahead and go back a little bit. Go back into the gray. Really? Yeah. Hit the parts of the bandages that I missed. Okay. There we go. Bring the bandages up even higher with my highlights. Time is it? I gotta get going soon. That sucks. Got a lot done though. I started late today, which you probably noticed by my start time. Like I said, I was gonna help a friend do some moving of some moving boxes, and instead of coming home, since he lives on the other side of town, I just kind of hung out at the local game shop for about 40 minutes, 30 minutes, and waited. And as I was about to leave, it starts raining, like pouring cats and dogs rain. And all I can think of is, oh, great, I don't want to move boxes in the rain. And I text him to be like, yo, it's raining. And he says, yeah, it just started like right when I got back with the trailer. So how about just hold off? We'll do it next time. We'll find more time. And I feel bad because his move-in day is actually this weekend. So the only other time we really have is tomorrow. And so all we can do is hope that the weather is kind to us tomorrow, because it's supposed to rain until like midnight tonight, which is obviously not good. Okay. The more I look at this model, the happier I am with him. He's such a neat looking dude. Is there anything else? Highlights. Yeah. Okay. I've gone up enough with the dark brown. It's time to go into the regular brown. Just really try and hit some of the spots where the brown might really show through. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't own leather shoes. But I feel like, especially where the light's hitting it most, the leather would probably shine best on like the curves, right? And that's going to be great. Hopefully it ends up looking okay. It's definitely making a difference. It's definitely bringing out some fun in this model. Which I know I keep saying, but... Let's see. Get his toesies? Get his toesies. Oh! That looks like some magic. Just a little bit in the crease where his foot would probably put the most pressure, cause the most wear and tear on different parts of the leather. Yeah. kind of unfortunate that you won't be able to see a lot of these details because they're so tiny they're not really showing up on the camera. But I'm just in awe at how incredibly fine some of the things, like he's got shoelaces on here. Visible shoelaces. That's just amazing to me. Okay. Well, I think I've put it off long enough. The last part I got to do for him is the skin. Hooray! Everyone knows painting faces is easy. Let's see if I can glaze that back down, actually, because I don't like how much heel is getting shown through. There we go. That glaze will make it look better, I promise. Okay. I also gotta figure out what color to paint his beard. I mean, it's probably gonna be black, but you know what I mean. Okay, so let's water down some purple. Get some purple really watered down. Oh no, the purple congealed. Let's uncongeal the purple. Get it really watered down. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I want the kind of consistency where it kind of pulls back in a little bit. That's a little too thin. There we go. And now we're going to paint his face purple. Because that purple is going to provide the undertone for the rest of his face. And then I'm going to have to get some freaking glasses on because there's no way I'm painting those eyes without some glasses on. Okay. Congratulations. You're not a wizard, you're a clown, Arry. Okay. Gandalf's so mad he purple. He fuming. Okay, let's see if I can do this without screwing up the rest of the model, because I just realized I probably should have painted the skin earlier. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's see, can I hit it? Can I hit it? Can I hit it? Oh, look at that, Knuckles. I got him. I got his Knuckles. Okay. I am realizing now that I put way too much purple on this palette. No, I didn't. I was going to use that purple for other things. That's okay, I guess. I'll put more on if I need it. Okay. Go ahead and paint his knuckles purple. Trying not to get it anywhere else. Okay. Hit all that. Hit all that. I know, riveting stuff, right? Dude with tiny brush paints tiny dude. Well, I'm fascinated by me. Tiny dude's purple. He looks like he's dying. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, I can go ahead and... Wait, no, the orb... Yeah, we're going to go ahead and paint the orb purple. We're going to start purple with the orb, and then I'll work our way back to a brighter color. So trying to paint the borders purple. Let's add some more water to that. I want this to be a fairly thin purple. Yeah, purple arcane energy. I'm really hoping for is that by doing this, it's going to actually bleed in a little bit into the crevices. You know, moisture. It's kind of working. Your skin's the same color as your magic, Arry. So there was a topic on Reddit many moons ago, and I don't know why I remember this or care to remember this, but it was like if you were to replace any like word or phrase with piece of shit, where would it work? Where would it be most effectively used? And so someone immediately said, "You're a piece of shit, Arry!" And that got me. I absolutely lost it. This is a much... Oh, it's because it's on a different undercoating. See, how cool is that? I'm using the same purple on both his face, his skin, and his, on his Staff of Power. But because one has a cream color underneath and one is black, they look very, very different. I think that's fascinating. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of that and mix it in here. And we're going to make ourselves... Actually, I'm not using this one for this. This feels like much, much greater detail work. I'm going to bring out the thin liner brush that I have, which looks like a syringe. I'm actually kind of disappointed in this one because I was hoping that I'd be able to use it for like detailing faces, but the brush is so thin and so whippy that it's actually fairly difficult to control. The fact that I haven't screwed up yet right now is kind of very amazing to me. But this is a legitimately very difficult brush to like navigate with. This is the brush I'm gonna have to do the eyes with. Hopefully, maybe, who knows. That went really well. I guess complaining about it does solve the problem. Okay. Mix that in for the skin. This is gonna be fun because the skin, since it's more exposed, is gonna have some very interesting light levels going on. Whether I'm going to successfully replicate them or not, anyone's guess, but I suppose we're gonna find out shortly. Or maybe not, because it's almost time for me to go. It'll all depend on when my wife calls me up for dinner. Usually around this time I get a text that's like, hey, dinner? But who knows? She may be super into her music right now. Usually after working, and whoops, that's way too pink. After working, she kind of takes a break with some headphone music time, which she calls headphone time. And I think that's a great little bit of self-care. You know, we spend way too much time with our nose to the grindstone. And we don't really give ourselves time to kind of chill out from that. So the fact that she has her own self-care routine, and it's nothing extravagant, it's just, you know, just a little bit of time on with some music that allows her to mellow out, not have to think about anything. It's like a spa day, but with a blanket on a couch. And it's like, good for her. She's figured that out. This is my spa day. I enjoy painting. Okay, lighter even. Now, I've been having this problem with painting skin where it never turns out the way I hope it will. It always ends up looking too purple or too pale, and I end up defaulting back to some really sloppy techniques that I used to use. But what I've come to realize after seeing some more masterful painters, is that I'm just not being patient enough. If I continue working and I continue pushing gradually back, the paint job ends up looking fantastic because you get these nice deep purples that are offset by these increasingly brighter and brighter colors. And it actually does a really good job of creating very realistic skin. Unfortunately, I'm not there yet. Fortunately, I will be there eventually. So I'm just going to keep kind of futzing around a little bit with the colors, mixing stuff together, and hoping, praying. That was a huge gob of moisture, and that looks terrible. My prayers are being not answered. Well, just hoping and praying that I eventually get there. And that soon enough, the skin will look somewhat realistic, at least. I think I might have gone too bright with that, so let's mix some of this back in. That's the other thing you gotta figure out is, like, where can the blends get? And I'm not there yet. I'm learning. Do some of that. I'm sorry I'm getting really quiet. I'm focusing in pretty hard on this. This guy is a very interesting model to try and paint because he's so tiny and he's got so much detail. So I'm kind of really zeroed in there. I'm also starting to get onto E with my fuel tank, my energy reserves. This has been a long week. Apparently, thankfully not in our classroom, but the kids have been a little nuts. And it's been the cause for a little bit more administrative fervor. But like it's dragging everyone down. Okay, let's a little more purple. That looks pretty good. Like I said, one of the worst things you can really do here is have too sharp a contrast too quickly. Unfortunately, it's not metal, so having really hard contrasts against each other really hurts the overall look. Then again, having little idea of what you're doing also hurts the overall look. But I'm trying. It's getting there. Okay, so we got that. Let's add just a little punch of khaki in there. Or have that little punch turn into a watery mess because apparently there was water in your brush and you weren't aware. That's fine. I'll make it work. I will make it work. Having it that watery means I can turn it into a bit of a glaze. And glazes are good. They allow you to do things without overcommitting. So we're going to go ahead and use that glaze and pray that it works out. Eventually I'm going to need to make the transition over from this purple pink into more of a fleshy tone, but I am not there yet. And eventually I'm going to have to repeat the whole thing with his face and be scared even further. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, that glaze did nothing. It barely showed up. Oh, it kind of showed up a little bit better. Okay, let's add some more. You then. That was a lot. Let's see what you do to it. Pink. It was purpley pink mess. Add a little purple. That actually is a fairly passable skin tone. It's got just enough that, you know, like reddishness to it. Let's see how it looks over everything else. I always fear that the blue undertone is just going to ruin everything. And so I end up being overzealous and covering it up way too aggressively. Which is a little bit of what's happening right now. I have no idea if this is going to look any good. Okay. It looks a little pallid. It looks just a little bit pallid. But, to be honest, not as bad as I was expecting. Like I said, I was expecting a far more deathly tone to him. But he's actually turning out okay. At least I think so. Next on Twitch streaming, Painter focuses on thumb for 20 freaking minutes. It's starting to come out, I think. And eventually, as with everything else, I'll get this down, and then once I do, it'll be a whole lot faster to process. But until then, I'm going to keep screaming in anxiety. The back of his hand just looks so incredibly awkward, and I'm not sure how to fix that. Okay, but no, that actually looks like a skin tone. I can't be too mad at that. Let's go back in with a slightly brighter tone. Because again, human hand means needs some more warm fleshiness to it. Otherwise it's just going to be this weird scalded pink. You're a lobster, Arry. Okay. I think that'll do for that one. Now trying to get his other hand and be scared of that one too. So let's go back down a little bit into the purple range. And let's go ahead and try and build that back up. Actually, since everything's flat, this might be even easier. Okay. More fleshy. This song is going places. As is his hand. His hand is actually going places. It's starting to look like a hand. Can't be too mad at that. Okay, let's see if we can carry this color through. Because again, I'm using like a yellow khaki. I'm not even using a proper flesh tone here. I'm kind of making this up as I'm going along. But I can't be too upset with the end result I'm seeing. I was kind of hoping for a little bit ruddier a look, but to be completely honest, I don't know how to make that flesh tone. So I'll look it up later, I'll figure it out, and if I feel like doing it over again, I'll do it over again. Yeah, he's definitely got some shade to those hands. Okay. Go ahead and back to the ultra thin spray. So now I gotta do this to his face. And I am scared. And then I've got to go ahead and try and figure out how to paint his freaking eyebrows and beard. Just a little bit of water on there. Unfortunately, in my overzealousness to have a tiny, tiny brush, I did not think about how little water all this holds. And I honestly believe that the 0 that I have and the triple or the double 0 I have, the points are too worn out for me to do something of this difficulty, this detail. So I've just got to hope that this is going to do it. I don't even know if you can see the face I'm painting. I think maybe I'm having... Hey, the Moo, good to see you. I love that chat. I love that emoji. Whatever you want to call it, that chat icon. I am right now having high anxiety trying to paint this dude's face to the best of my ability. I'm using a very tiny brush tip and hoping that eventually it starts taking on a flesh tone as opposed to a dead guy tone. So I'm working my way up. I'm getting there. He's getting brighter. There's life in that skin yet. But my God, is this a tiny mini? This is actually not 40K. I usually paint 40K, but thank you. But I'm also trying to get into more commission painting, and I figured rather than trying to guesstimate how much everything should cost, I was going to set up a tier list, right? And so, one moment. So I wanted to have different tiers of detail that I could charge at. Thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. Look at it go. And so like these models right here, these may look like Skitari, but I assure you they are not Skitari. They are from Station Forge. They are their scavenger line, which is not AdMech. Wink. And these are the Skitari Rangers. And so this guy right here is my parade quality. He's going to be my most expensive tier. He's got a lot of shading. He's got a lot of object source lighting, non-metallic metals, etc., etc. And this guy over here is going to be my parade model, my parade line, Parade Plus. He's got a whole lot less work into him, but... Or not parade, tabletop. But he'll actually be a whole lot easier to put on the tabletop, you know? So I'm working on it. I'm trying to get these guys done because I've got something else I want to paint, which is a little closer to Warhammer. This is from One Page Rules. This thing is called a Rat Priest from their Ratmen line. And they've got a competition going where if you win like first place, you get resin, like 50 bucks worth of resin. So I want to eventually get back to painting him as best I can and enter that contest. And most recently, before I got into all that, I was painting a Fulgrim. So I've been working on this guy, and he's turned out pretty good so far. I'm not happy with the face, but that was the next thing I was going to work on until I realized I want to start making money off of this. So I started doing the paint tiers. So in the meantime, I'm going to continue working on this guy and get him painted to the best of my ability, and then branch off and show some of the smaller tier, or the cheaper tiers, more affordable tiers. Fancy, I know, right? Fulgrim is nothing but fancy. If there's one word you can use to describe the man, it is extra. Okay, so let's go back to using this liner brush and trying not to cry. How bright can I make you? That's not bright enough. I don't know. I know I've got myself tagged as Warhammer. So you play Warhammer? If so, what armies do you play? What has interested you most about the hams of war? Okay. It's always my favorite thing to discover with people is just what they enjoy most about this fun little hobby. That is incredibly not fleshy looking color. Fancy Fulgrim. What a dude. What a guy! Killed his brother to get ahead in life. Okay, let's see. I'm currently building and painting my Sons of Jormungandr. I have a hard time with the Norse words. I'm so sorry. I'm assuming that's a Norse theme. I don't know if that's Warhammer. I'm assuming it's a Norse themed Space Marine army, and if so, that's freaking cool. Wait. Cool subfact. Gene Stealer calls. That's right. Dang it! I knew that sounded familiar. Darn it. I've been really into 30K and reading about the Horus Heresy. So some of the other factions I'm not as well read on, and so I don't remember the sub-faction names for the Gene Stealer cults. But I really want to start collecting and painting them too. I'll be honest, I think the Magos model is awesome, and the Magus model is awesome, and I want to paint her. I think she is a very good sculpt, and that's also led me to want to paint the rest of them, because I really like the sub-theme of just, rising up from the horrific tyrannical oppression of the Imperium, even if it's severely misplaced, because they're all about to be turned into bug food. Even with that being the case, it's still really cool, and even that fatalism makes me happy. So, I was actually planning on buying like a combat patrol of them, and then just painting them up to look like the West Virginia coal mine, rebellions of the last half century. Always thought it was a neat idea. Never got around to it. Money got in the way. So now I'm trying to make more money so I can do that. What is their color scheme? What is the color scheme of the Sons of Jormungandr? I have no idea how to pronounce that name. I apologize. Like I said, I know next to nothing about the Gene Stealer cults other than what Bricky has talked about on Adeptus Ridiculous, the guerrilla warfare playstyle. That does sound really cool. Knowing that you're constantly severely outmatched, trying to take on some much yellow, silver, and black. That is a great color scheme. I hope they're looking good, because that's a really cool color scheme, and I feel like you could do a lot with that. That would be a lot of fun to paint too. Oh man, this liner brush sucks. I'm sad I spent so much money on it. That's okay, I can make it work. I'm an artist, kind of. So I will make this brush work. Your main army, the orcs, yes! Everyone's main army wants to be the orcs. I got a buddy out in Michigan who used to live around here, and we got him into the 40K, and his main army is the orcs. He plays Death Skulls, but he's made up his own version of them. and he's basically got a ton of jewelry all over them. He calls them the gem runners, and I love it. But he's definitely someone who loves the orcs. I've done a lot of painting of orcs for him. In fact, you've missed it because, you know, you just found me. But for Christmas, for the holidays, since he was coming down to visit, I know, right? He got it from the hip hop guy, the hip hop artist Run the Jewels. And so he found a whole bunch of like dollar store jewelry and whatnot, and has just absolutely adorned them with it. And it looks fantastic. It's really fun and on theme. And because he doesn't have a lot of discretionary income to spend on the actual models, he kit bashes wherever he can. I showed him the Mr. Potato Head Stompa, and he fell in love with the idea, so he made one of his own. And it's one of the funniest models I've ever seen. And he actually now owns a second Stompa because I got him one for the holidays. Like I said, I don't see him very often anymore, and he was one of my best friends before he moved out there. He still is, but he was too. And one moment. Oh no, I've made a mistake. And so I decided I was going to surprise him with this huge model. And so Station Forge, the guys who made the Scavengers, they make orcs too. They call them the Orcas, O-R-K-A-Z. And so they had a Stompa. They had a huge, very impressive Stompa that they called a Mega Steppa. And so I printed out the entire thing with its little grot crew, and I painted it for him. And I gave it to him when he came down here. And so now it's back in Michigan. I have no ownership of it. But if you're interested, I could show you some pictures I took of it before he left. After I finished slaughtering this poor wizard's eyes. But yeah, the Gem Runners was a great name. I really like his orc army. I think it's a lot of fun. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, give me a second. I've got some pictures I can show you. I don't know. Do you have a Stompa of your own by any chance? Post has been shared. Hooray, hooroo. Let's see. I have a lot of Tau, but I've been collecting them. I have a lot of Tau. Well, not a lot of Tau. I have enough Tau, and I'm trying to sell them. No Stompa. They're so cool. I had Tau, and they were my first army, but I realized I didn't like playing them at all. So I'm actively trying to sell my Tau now. I actually just sold some battle suits. They're fine. Like, they look good, but they're not my playstyle. So just trying to get rid of them, unfortunately. Let's see. Okay. There we go. So, whoa. I have made a mistake. This slideshow is massive because the pictures are massive. So we're going to take all this, make it considerably smaller. I have a semi-professional camera, so it decided it needed to do that. Okay, so this is the Orca's Mega Steppa. This is the custom Stompa that Station Forge just made. It took me, I think, 17 prints to get the entire thing done, and it was worth every ounce of resin to do. I love this model. I had a lot of fun putting it together. I had a lot of fun painting it. It was a remarkably easy paint. It was mainly dry brushing, but it was definitely an incredible project to work on. I know, right? The entire thing is great. I love the huge artillery. I love the fact that it's got a grot crew on it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this model. I love the fact that it's a giant orc thing, like an amalgamate of some sort. it's just a good model. It's a good model and gives me the warm fuzzies on the inside. If it wasn't for the fact that I already play Imperial Fists, Death Guard, Custodes, Sororitas, and a couple, and and even those I only have half collections of, except for the Fists and the Death Guard. I would definitely try and have an Orc army. That's very much a given. Love them to death. They're so much fun. You play them. I don't need to explain it to you. So at some point, I might end up having an Orc army, but that's going to be in the far-flung future. Until then, I'm going to appreciate my buddy's Orc army and leave it at that. Okay. After I finish doing this guy's beard, it's going to be time for me to go. My wife gave me the signal. It's basically time for dinner. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the high spots of his beard a little bit. And then probably head on off. I have 1,000 Suns, but the playstyle is really repetitive. Understandable. I mean, they're all basically psychers, so you just kind of got a psychs. Yeah, I'm not going to go yet, but if you're not back before I do, it was nice seeing you. Thank you for hopping in, and I hope you had fun while you were here. Okay, let's get that. Yeah. Let's go a little bit brighter. Just go a little bit brighter on some of these spots. Fair enough, man. I'm gonna, like I said, it's only gonna be a few moments. I'm gonna finish up highlighting his beard. This dude's awesome beard. And then I'm gonna call it. So again, thank you for joining me. Do greatly appreciate it. I had a lot of fun talking to you for the brief time I did. I usually stream in the afternoon or late afternoons, early evening on Eastern Standard Time. So right now it's about 6:38. I'm usually here until at around 5-ish until about this time. Very rarely now, but I used to stream in the mornings as well, around 7 to 7:30, because I had some dead time before I had to go to work. That's becoming less of a thing because it's, my goodness, it's almost time for bed for you. I'm assuming you're out in Europe then, most likely, maybe. I tend to get a lot of traffic from Britain, which I think is really cool. I've had some from Germany. I've had some from Britain. Had some from. I had one from Mexico City, which was really neat. I had some. Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. Okay. Yeah, it's the idea of Britain compels me, or it intrigues me. It feels, it's so much smaller a landmass that it just, the geography and the idea of it tickles me to no end. I'm in Virginia, and I'm pretty sure the state of Virginia is bigger than the entirety of the United Kingdom. So the fact that, like, in my lifetime, from where I started to where I am now, I've basically traveled the continent of Great Britain, or the country of Great Britain, and that's funny to me. Okay, I got one last thing. I keep having one last thing to do because I'm nuts, but I'm gonna go ahead and paint in his cheek a little more now that I see it, because there's too much there. Oh no, I ruined it! I can fix that. This is my problem. This is why I'm still here. I have this hard time of just like stopping when I need to stop, but that's gonna be an easy fix. There we go, perfect. You're in Glasgow. Okay, very cool. Neat. More fans. More people to view my feeble attempts at painting. Feeble. Look at this. That ain't feeble. That looks beautiful. Okay, I gotta get going. Thank you so much for joining me. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your evening. Have a good day tomorrow if I don't see you. So thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.